ongoing look at education making the grade continues this week, and we're joined once again by Patrick McCloskey. He is a researcher at Loyola University in Chicago, joins us from our CNN studios there. Patrick, good to see you.
Good to see you today, Brian.
We want to talk about a couple of different issues today, but I want to open with this idea of a worldview. I don't want to call it a political agenda in schools because I don't think it has to do with political parties or anything like that, but a worldview bias, a liberal worldview bias in our education system, whether it be you only teach kids about the environment by showing them David Suzuki and Inconvenient Truth, or a very hot button issue in the country's biggest school system, and that's the imposition of gay straight alliance clubs, they're called. Sure. In Ontario schools. It's been controversial because in the Catholic school system especially, they're saying, hold on, kind of goes against what we're saying. We want to do it in a different way. And the government saying, no, you will teach it this way. Is there a liberal bias in our school systems?
Well, in some regards, there certainly is. If you were to go around and talk to educators, as I do, you'd find that most of them are liberal in their politics, and that certainly comes through. This sort of thing is a bias in the sense, I think, that while it's the job of schools to address issues like bullying, and we all went to school, and the kind of wimpy kid or the kid who might be gay got picked on, that's certainly a legitimate problem to address, and we must teach our kids tolerance. It's quite another thing for the school system to teach a worldview that promotes the gay lifestyle, which is it's very different from tolerating and from finding a way for everybody to live together and respect each other. It's a very different issue. In California, they just passed a law requiring textbooks that promote the gay, lesbian, transgender lifestyle.
It has to be worked into history, doesn't it? It has to be worked into every single course being taught has to have a component of this.
Right, and it's not merely the recognition of historical figures who might have been gay, which is a legitimate thing. I mean, I don't know how important it is in any particular event, and often it's not. It's like if you're doing the history of mathematics, there might be a lot of Jesuit priests who were great mathematicians. Now, how important is it in the history of mathematics that they were Jesuits? You know?
Probably not all that important.
Probably not. I mean, I've got nothing against the recognition of various kinds of people, but that's not the issue here. The issue is that regardless of what a school thinks, regardless of a teacher's religious beliefs, they have to promote and say these are positive role models, and this is all good and natural. I mean, that's an agenda, which I don't think it's a business of the public schools, and particularly starting to force it on private schools if that happens. And there's a ripple effect in the U.S. and I think in Canada too, because textbooks are geared to California and Texas, and if California mandates that a very pro-aggressive promotion of the gay lifestyle is put into textbook, that goes through textbooks throughout the country and probably throughout North America.
Now, somewhat related is another issue that came up in a couple of newspaper articles this week, baffling to some, sure. Not surprised given that I've got family that work or have worked in the Catholic school system across Ontario, and that's a rise in Muslim students going to the Catholic school system. And one of the reasons they say is issues of discipline, issues of order, and of a moral code being taught in the school.
Absolutely. I mean, the moral code that is taught in the Catholic schools is very similar or is the same thing as what a Muslim parent would want their children to learn. Respect for religion. The way sexuality is handled is very important to particularly a conservative Muslim family, and it's handled very more in accordance with how they say things in the Catholic schools. Public school sexuality is taught very, very early, and it's taught in a way that, there's no sense of modesty. There's no sense of perhaps valuing sexuality in a conservative point of view. Not only are there different points of view taught, but a more conservative point of view is I think, denigrated in the public school system often. So you do have this phenomena of more and more Muslim children going to Catholic school. In Ontario, it's at the high school level. In the United States, there are about 15% of the students in Catholic schools across the country are non-Catholic. Now, those would be mostly African American, but we have a growing number of Muslim students in the Catholic schools.
Given the controversy of over what's called the Mosqueteria and the prayers in school, that was happening in Toronto. Do you think this will become another flash button issue? Religion in schools are always hot button topics, and there's a fringe party in Ontario calling for getting rid of all religion and any mention of it in schools, period. They want it gone. One school system, no mention of anything.
Well, you never know. I mean, in California, in reaction to what the government is doing and a number of other things, there's like a secessionist party. They want to take half the state and create another state that would be the more conservative side, and then the more liberal side would be the other half of the state. And it happened once before. They were going to call it Jefferson, which would have been in the 49th state at that point. These things fuel the homeschool movement. They fuel the school choice movement because people get sick and tired of government overreach. So there's a lot of ironies here. I mean, there's a legitimate issue of bullying, and especially bullying gay and lesbian students. But then the government's going to come around and bully everybody into accepting a worldview that is way beyond tolerance. And then the government wants to set it up such that women and women only have jurisdiction over children before they're born, and then as soon as they're born, forget it. It's the state that has complete jurisdiction.
I like your point of view of government's bullying, Patrick. I call it diversity through enforced uniformity. Yeah. We're out of time. Thanks for coming in today. We'll continue our conversations on education, I'm sure.